So I kind of wanted to give everyone a preview of what is to come. So I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. Hopefully you all can see this. So I've built out the bones for the zine, and really excited once folks kind of conceptualize their contributions. Um, so here's kind of some of what it looks like. I'll just go through it a little bit. Blurb about who we are, um, space for a letter from the editor, which would be me, and Boston Ujima Project, and then different sections, but that can also be revised. These are just based off of our hashtags and sections already, as a part of the social media component. And then I've kind of put in like some sort of lorem ipsum for right now, but we can add everyone's contributions and images and stuff like that. So I'm super excited about that. Um, Glossary, if folks really want to add anything. And then, of course, the masthead where everyone is named. So I'm super excited to kind of build out this process, but just really wanted to give everyone a visual to build up the excitement. But yes, so um, I have a few kind of things for us to just chat about in terms of like writing prompts. So I think what might be easiest is that I send both of the prompts for people to think about individually, and I will put about 7 minutes on the clock for people to kind of respond to it. Feel free to either think about it, write about it, and you can do it digitally or analog, whichever way makes you feel the most comfortable. And then we can share it with each other if you would like to. So I'm just going to put the questions in the chat and also uh, say them verbally as well. So describe something in your home that you collect. Think of this like your 100th day of school object that you may bring in. Like my examples that when I was in kindergarten, the 100th day object I brought in 100 different buttons. Um, and then what is an early childhood memory of art? Either going to museums, making art, or engaging with it. So I'm just going to put that time on the clock and we can get to writing. Um, yeah, any questions before we get started?
I guess my one question is there like a format that we're supposed to be like that you want us to write in as like just for us, or are we like creatively writing?
Yeah, this is just for you, but there's a share out optional at the end of this time. You can pick either question or both, and you can do it in whichever format. Like if a poem is easiest for you, random stream of consciousness, um, all of that works. A recipe, yeah, any format. Thanks for that question.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, let us begin with the 7 minutes. Okay, please wrap up your sentences. Um, would anyone like to share what they've been working on? Again, no pressure.
I'd love to share if that's cool. I started writing kind of about the first prompt about describing something in your home that you collect. I had a lot more to say than I thought I did. So I just got more into that one than the second one. And this is what I wrote so far. I unintentionally collect stickers. They kind of just find me. One of my friends sent me one of those cute little Hope Corps posts that had a bunch of stickers on it and said, "Personalize everything or die with nothing to your name." And while the sentiment may be an exaggeration, I find a lot of truth in it, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. that might be an exaggeration too. I love that stickers can render any of your possessions, a water bottle, a computer, a guitar, a journal, a time capsule. I think stickers are living things in the way they sparked connections for me. Like someone in the library seeing a sticker from a band we both listened to and deciding that I'm cool enough to talk to. And that's it.
Thank you for sharing. Oh, you know, amazing. Would anyone else like to share? Or even if anyone would want to respond or talk about images that came up for them when hearing that.
Share. Um, yeah, I appreciate Nati you sharing something that you unintentionally collect because I feel like that came up for me too in this exercise. And yeah, I kind of got lost in it, so I appreciate the prompt. I collect bobby pins. They adorn the nooks of my home like my mom once believed the streets of America were paved with gold. There's never enough. There's always too many. From filling empty Altoid mint tins, the scent lingers for the first few days, to pinning them in my hair. I never want for them unless I need them. In those moments, it gets dire. Usually I'm at someone else's home, and my collection is far from complete. And so every time I go to CVS, I'm sure to pick up a pack of bobby pins because even though I have tons and tins and boxes, I just know that I need more.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share?
Can share. I wrote about the early childhood memory of art. um, and I was thinking back to a conversation that I had with someone recently about being a writer. Um, You're a fearless writer, Emily says, but she's got it all wrong. Fear wallpapered the womb in which I hatched from egg to fetus, the kind of decor that makes you wonder what could be hiding underneath. Fear was the mother tongue shared between my caregivers when the Romans battled the Dravidians into silence. Fears was stacked high in our home, on the highway, like mismatched plates in hard to reach cabinets. Fear is baked into the pastel confections I frost in earnest celebration, lurking around the corner at graduations and gatherings, woven into the hooked rugs of kind white Jesus hanging on our wall that make the aunties ooh and ah none the wiser. When I was 8 years old, I asked for a calligraphy set for Christmas. I had been getting really into handwriting, and I loved the idea of old, elegant letters on crispy parchment paper. I was thrilled when I got a small box with nibs and ink and feather tips, yellowing paper, the whole thing. I think I was so desperate to escape my life that I invented a whole other one for myself, in which I was a potentially widowed farm wife with 3 small children whose husband was off fighting in the Cold War. Every night, I'd climb into my bed, tent up my blanket, turn on a little Coleman camping lantern, and write these long, languishing letters to my maybe dead husband, letting him know that the children were okay, and I hope he might receive these socks for the Cold War because it was really, really cold, obviously, and the hunk of cheese and bread I had sent. In this other life, I was a person that belonged somewhere to somebody. Eventually, my parents found out about this very strange habit and urged me to get to sleep. They said, don't make up lies. Is that all I am? A liar? How can anyone think that I'm fearless when I'm so afraid of being glued over and forgotten or put away like riffraff in the closet when the guests come for dinner? Terrified of being found out, a melodramatic, a liar, a fool. Who the fuck do I think I am, stepping to a private podium in the shape of pen and paper? I guess it's the comfort that once everyone leaves, when the sink is full of gooey dishes and the cake is but a pile of crumbs, when the buckles come unbuckled and the guts spill out, when the devil is allowed to play in the shadows as they sweep shriveled coriander leaves from the linoleum floors to dustpan to bin, the comfort of a long exhale, the comfort that these words could serve as a testament from which I might read in times of uncertainty, that for one moment in time, with no one present to marvel or consume, maybe, perhaps, in that moment of solitude, the pen and I, she might just be right.
Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to share? Okay, I'm happy to move on, and there will be other opportunities to share as well. I really love the images and everyone's writing. It's very, very beautiful. And I heard a lot of nostalgia and trepidation at times and some of the writing as well, through life events. And yeah, it was just so great. I'm like, I, I feel like everyone here could probably run the workshop as well. I'm like, wow, that was really, really beautiful. Um, so I wanted to kind of transition from that exercise to really look at this piece of sample writing that I have. Let me just share my screen. I know it was sent out before the class, but if you didn't get a chance to read it, that's okay. I can also summarize it and give folks a moment to look it over. So I actually wrote this piece, and the illustrator is the illustrator actually of the brand logo. This is our first collaboration, and it really, really inspired me to work with them further, actually. I'll make it so that everyone can kind of see this. Basically, to summarize this kind of experimental piece of writing, I was really noticing that in art criticism and in writing in general, they kind of tell you to stay away from I statements. And, through interrogating that, I actually disagree with not using I statements. I think that kind of this idea of relating to your reader is really powerful. And a lot of the stories that we heard right before this, I think, is a great entry into art and talking about objects and material culture. And so I ended up starting this piece as sort of a list, and it could be read as a poem or just kind of a list of things. And a lot of the list was starting with I or my, the exact thing that they tell you not to do. And, I've started imagining how sharing a lot of these things about myself would impact the piece or impact a reading of an artwork in particular. I've heard of some writers that I really look up to. One being the art critic Seth Rodney. He really he says that in all of his work he tries to reveal a part of himself. And so if you're like reading all of it, it's almost like a series. It's where you get to know the writer in each essay. So I'm again super informed by that way of thinking. And I know I'm kind of going through this rather quickly, but yeah, I think this might be kind of a quote that really encapsulates everything. But bringing back first-person pronouns into criticism centers an author's lived experience, democratizes how we relate to art, and positions ourselves in the context of what we write about. We, as individuals experiencing an artwork, make the call on whether something is beautiful or not and how it makes us feel. And this is why we should put the I back in art criticism. So even how we started off our workshop today, thinking through what our epithet may be, I think whatever that epithet is can kind of be the lens and open up how you see the world, how you react to things. And I think all of that is really important. Um, yeah, so I kind of showed some pictures of me and some experiences that I've had at different museums. So I talked about going to the Art Institute and talked about my family's kind of experiences walking through the Art Institute and how whenever we go to a museum, because those kind of institutions are my world, my family always asks me questions, but I'm way more curious what they think. So I really enjoy the conversations we have in a lot of those spaces. But yeah, so that's kind of, reaffirming that art is a personal experience and that you are the expert in that personal experience. So yeah, any questions before we move on to the next prompt or comments or even reactions to the writing that we heard?
I just really loved how I actually like had a moment of just appreciating everybody because I like also landed at a place where I was like, I don't really collect anything. So I feel like I don't actually think about the first one. And then you both kind of like redefine the idea of what collecting means, which was just like so playful. And I was like, oh my God, I like collect hairballs and like all this just gross shit, and it was just like a fun moment. So I loved hearing your writing about that because it was really sweet to like reconnect.
Totally. Definitely agree with that. Anyone else want to chime in?
I like, Coco, in your piece, the different ways that you kind of embodied fear and just like the different descriptions that went with it. Because I feel like, I don't know, fear is just like this can be this, and fear and so many emotions can feel like this really abstract thing, but you were just like putting kind of your own lived experiences kind of infused into that. And I kind of appreciated every description that went along with that and like how it culminated in the end of your piece.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There were so many images in everyone's writing. Like, I think that's what really sticks with me. Um, some of the images that, stood out were sweeping up coriander or holding bobby pins in Altoid tins. Never thought about that and the smell that would give them. Some of those images are standing out, or even stickers on water bottles and the back of on the back of laptops as well. I have a ton of stickers on my laptop, by the way. I know you can't see it, but yeah, it really made me think of those really relatable experiences that we encounter objects that are art, It's really great. Any other thoughts before we move on? Um, let's see, I will check the chat as well. Yeah, Aisha says, Coco, the way you weaved the words fear and wallpaper together was gorgeous. Smiley face or heart. Um, maybe I just added the smiley face myself. Heart, exclamation point, and then my own smiley face. Yeah.
Definitely, there could be a smiley face to that too. I feel like I collect emojis thinking of I'm collecting things anyway.
Yeah, no, this is kind of a random tangent, but I love how emoticons kind of give new or even exclamation points and things like that give this like fun tone to text. And yeah, that's a whole nother thing, but it's great. Thank you. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen here. So our next prompt actually will be imagining the central figure is a character and what do you imagine their name and backstory to be. So I'm just going to share a couple of artworks for us to look at together. I think probably two different ones for us to look at. Let's see if I can show both at the same time. And these are both local artists, but on purpose, I've kind of hidden the title and the name of the artist just so we can really focus on the visual experience. So is everybody able to see this? And there should be two works side by side.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So I will give folks another 10 minutes since that seemed to be the golden time frame. Any questions before we get started?
Do you want me to put a timer?
Either way, I mean, I've just been looking at the clock and timing it myself, so no worries.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we can begin then. Okay, and that's time. Feel free to finish up your sentences. We're actually nearing the end of the workshop, but before that, I just wanted to remind everyone that there is a WhatsApp group. Feel free to join if you have any questions or want to compare notes or just be in community with folks. And kind of the homework for next time. I hope, again, that you all don't think of it as homework in the academic sense, but in a way to engage with people that you would identify an artist that you would like to chat with and kind of view their work. And I'm happy to connect you with folks. And I think the Boston Ujima team would also be a game to connect you with folks as well. And I've sort of created a list of people, but feel free to pick people who are not on the list or add to the list as well. Totally up to you. So I'll just share the link to the list. Yeah, would anyone like to share either the pieces that they wrote or some of their takeaways as we begin wrapping up?
Could you clarify the assignment? I think I'm having a little trouble understanding. Is so we would look up this artist and then write something about their work, or would we interview them or
Yeah, so the goal is to connect with them in some way. It could be a formal interview, it can be just studying their work, whatever kind of fits best for everyone's schedules in the month's time.
okay.
Yeah, I don't want it to feel like an assignment, so whichever way is easiest for everyone to connect. And there is no pressure to write anything by next time, but just to be able to connect and have someone specific in mind to write about.
Great, thank you.
Ooh, that's a great question. Can it be someone who is not alive? I think it could be. Originally, how I conceptualized this work is that it would be with someone who's alive so that you could talk to them if you would like to. But I'm open to that. The main parameter is that the artist is based around the Boston area. any other thoughts or questions?
Are folks cool with staying like maybe 10 minutes longer? Because I know this workshop's supposed to end at 8:30 and we started a little bit late. So to kind of give room so you don't have to rush. Okay.
Also, Chenoa, can you stay 10 minutes later?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes, I'm happy to email the link, and I can also share it right now too, if that's easiest to look at it all together.
Sorry, I meant the WhatsApp link. I might have hit the wrong thing.
Yes, I
Oh.
can send out an email to everybody who RSVP'd.
Thank you.
Also, feel free to add to this list too if you'd like. I know some of the websites are added, some still getting to, but I think this information should be enough to find some images at least of their work. And some of these names may be really familiar, so yeah, but I would encourage everyone to like challenge themselves and maybe even pick someone that they don't already know. I think that could be really fun. Yeah. Let me see the chat. If anyone else has any questions or comments. Okay. I mean, if anyone doesn't really want to share, we probably could end on time actually. But just depending on folks wanting to share, or if anyone has any additional questions.
I can share. I kind of got distracted. So I didn't finish it that much, but okay. Have you seen Jesus walk on water? Well, lovely, watch me dance. Around here the water is so clear we just blend in with the sky. They call me Camu because I camouflage and I can sure move. For water has no enemy and I am just movement. Where do I come from, you ask? From within you. When you cry, you feed me. Every time you flush that toilet, I swirl just a little in the water. Water. We are together everywhere, really.
Thank you for sharing. I know something that came up for me, it was the unexpected turn of the swirl in the toilet bowl. That was really cool.
I think I loved this came out in Mary's, but even the previous shares that y'all have offered have been like such a range and mix in your voice of like humor and some and like depth and like I don't know, also visuals. I've been getting like really clear visuals from people from your storytelling, and this is like the first workshop and I'm like, oh my God, we already have all these like short stories percolating. I'm like really excited to read this scene. So yeah, thanks for the prompts and thanks everyone for sharing.
Of course, thank you everyone for being here and contributing and listening. Awesome. Well, if no one else wants to share, I hope that everyone has a great night, and I'm really excited to